Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sierra and I want to work on this mold. I made a candy jar out of this mold a few videos back, and ever since I did that mold or that jar, I knew I wanted to use this mold again, and I want to use these flowers, or some of these flowers. Aren't they pretty? If I can find anything comparable to this, I will link it. I got these years ago, and I have some fabric leaves. I don't know which ones I'm going to use, and I actually cut one down to see what it would look like. So there's that, and I want to put a layer of blue glitter, just a real thin layer of blue glitter in there, and I want to put the blue, this will be the top of the jar, so I want the blue glitter to go around here. Don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to give it a try. I have my resin mixed up. I have just under 2 ounces, which may be too much. And I'm going to pour the glitter in, and we're going to see what we have. Yeah, I just ever since I did that little candy jar, I just knew I was going to do this mold again. That is pretty. I want a little bit more glitter. And this is the Arteza Egyptian Blue. Is it just the regular? Yep. Arteza Premium Egyptian Blue. Because I know some of them, Arteza ones, they don't look like it, but they actually glow under, they glow in the dark, but they're really pretty. I think I have a couple of those, but I'm not going to use those in this. So let me close this up before I spill it, because I will spill it if it's open. And that is what I'm looking at. It's beautiful. So I just want I just want to cover the bottom basically. Because what I want to do is I'm going to cut these flowers off the stems, and I just want to sink the flower into the resin. You know, and I'm going to let that thicken up. So we got that one. I'm going to let it thicken up. Now we're going to try and do this. And I'm going to put this down and pinch the cup. And I'm going to stand up, and I'm just going to pour. All right, I'm going to pinch, 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 because I don't want any bubbles, and I didn't spray any alcohol in there. And I'm probably going to get in there and clean all that off with baby wipe and alcohol. I'm just going to pour the rest in like so. As long as it runs down. That's good. And now I'm going to go on the inside and wipe this mold out. And then I'm going to let the jar actually pretty much cure. But I'm going to just let this tack up, because I want to stick the flower in it. So I'm going to have to mix up. I'm going to wait about an hour. I'm going to check on it every, I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And then once I feel that it's tacked up good enough, I'm going to take one of these flowers and stick it in there. I'm going to dip it in resin and stick it in there. So as soon as we get to that part, I will be back. All right. This is uncured enough. It's tacky. So we're going to go with it. I decided to go with these cloth leaves. I'm going to dunk it in the resin. And I have a feeling this is going to get really messy. But that's okay. Fine by me. Get a hold of it. And I'm going to set it in there. Drop. Nope. Come on. Get in there. Like so. Get down in there. That's not working out the way I want it to. Just make sure that the glitter don't come up. I don't know why that's not sticking down there. I pour a little bit of resin on top. Okay. I should have tried to stick the whole piece in there, but I did, so. Okay. Now I have the flowers, and I took these and I cut it off. Stick that in there. I really want to douse this flower in the resin. We're going to stick it in here. Face up because this is the top of the jar. Come on, get in there. That leaf, I don't like how it is. Hold on a minute. No, I don't like this. I'm going to get a different one. I'm going to cut it. Scissors. I'm going to cut it right down there. And I'm going to remove a leaf from here. And a leaf on this side. There. I'm going to set this here. Time to dunk. I know I'm making a big mess, but that's okay. This is how we learn. There. Now I can set that in like so. Much better. Dunk this in. Pull it up. Dunk that in like that. Much better. This one in there. I hope I'm recording. And we're going to go here as well. Let me get this one. This one is going to go here. There, that fits much better. Okay, let me wipe off my fingers. Pick up this messy thing. I'm going to dunk it back in. And we're going to set it on like that. Just like so. Yep. Just make sure the petals are in. I'm going to pour the rest of the resin on top. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you really can't see the leaves in there. I'm going to take this silicone and I'm going to stick it on top like so. I'm going to take these and I'm going to place it on like this. Don't want anything too heavy. What else can I place on there that's not too heavy? So I don't want to distort it. Let's try that. Just to keep the flour from rising up. And I'm just going to let this cure. And then I will be back when it cures. All right, this is cured. It was sitting overnight, so that's good. And I did take my little wire cutters off and replace the weight with these because this wasn't as heavy. but it was heavy enough, and I didn't want to distort. I don't want to push this down too far. So that's a little good idea to have. All I did was I took a silicone mat I had, and I used one that was a little transparent so I can use this with the UV. So I just cut it up in squares. That's all that is. So, so the plan is I want to add a little bit of this, the Mayspring Dazzling Diamond, just a little bit. I'm going to cut some leaves. I'm going to dunk the flowers in the resin. I'm going to place them in there the best I can. And in the meantime, as you're watching what I'm doing, it's pretty self-explanatory. When you do use the, I'm just going to say, when you do use the Mayspring or the Dazzling Diamonds or anything like this, the crushed diamond, whatever that is, you don't want a lot. Too much will overtake your project. I say that every time. It's a kind of a reminder for myself too. And these spoons are tiny. They're it's really deceptive on camera. So, you know, I'm just basically just putting the very tip. It's not much at all. And I don't want it to land on the stick. That is it. That is all you want to add. I have 4 ounces of resin. I mean, if I had more resin, I would add maybe a little bit more. But that's all you really need. And I'm going to start mixing slowly, because this stuff will just stick to your stick. And in the meantime, what I want to do is I want to tell the story of my first day working undercover. I had just over 2 years on the job, and I was approached by our special operations unit. They're the ones that, in our department, they worked plainclothes, and they're the ones that drove around in unmarked police cars. They didn't answer police calls. Their job was solely to what we would call shake the bushes. You know, go out there and find the bad guy, basically. That's the sole purpose of their job. So I was approached by special operations if I wanted to work undercover as a lady of the evening. And I jumped at it. I wanted to do this. And I had to report to another precinct that already had, the operation was known as Offer to Engage. And basically it was to set up in neighborhoods where prostitution was rampant. And usually it was in neighborhoods where families lived, and the women would stand out there in front of residential homes, and you know, you couldn't send your children out to play, couldn't do any of that. Also narcotics was being used, so you had used needles they would just throw out on the grass. Used paraphernalia that the men would wear to protect themselves. Those would be, the used ones would be thrown on the grass. So, you know, your kids couldn't enjoy themselves out there. Your family, you couldn't, it was overrun. It was seriously overrun. I'm going to cut a little bit of this leaf off because I have a feeling it's going to cause me problems in the end. So I'm just going to chop it off. So basically that's where we would set up. But before I could set up, I had to go to training. And my training consisted of, I'm going to let this settle down and pour some more in a minute. My training consisted of going to another precinct where this operation was already up and running, and they had several female officers working undercover. Back in the day, there were no cameras, there were no microphones, none of that stuff. So when I was sitting in an unmarked police car, I was just sitting down the street watching them. I couldn't hear what they were saying, what these officers were saying to these men. I couldn't hear anything. All I could do was talk to the females after they had gotten what was known as a case. I'll explain how that worked. They would come and sit in the unmarked car. It was an unmarked SUV. That's how many females they had working this operation at this particular precinct. And then I would ask them, what'd you say? What'd they say? Because there were rules. You just, to eliminate some misinformation, if somebody were to ask if an officer was an officer, hey, are you a cop? I could say no. Legally, I could say no. I could tell them, no, I'm not a police officer. And that did not violate anything. That was constitutional law. I did not have to disclose that I was, in fact, a police officer. So, needless to say, I sat in this SUV for 3 evenings to get my training, which wasn't really training in my opinion. I was basically thrown out there, not knowing any of the lingo, any of the slang. I knew some of it from, I did grow up in the area. I did know the streets somewhat, but I still didn't know the slang and how it worked. I'm just going to dump that in. I couldn't suggest an act. Okay? I couldn't suggest any kind of act. And as adults watching this, you know what kind of act I'm talking about. I couldn't suggest an act, and I couldn't suggest a price for the act. They had to come straight from the John, whether they are female or male. I couldn't coerce them. I couldn't suggest anything, nothing. I don't want to use these, these are too sharp. So they would come up and, are you a cop? No. How about I give you, realistically, they would offer $10 for whatever. And as long as it was anything of monetary value, that was considered a case. Okay. Got that established. Now, I'm going to end up getting really messy here, so. Oh, well. You know what? I want to pour a little bit of resin in here first. I want to put that in there dry. So, after my 3 days of training, of the so-called training, I was ready to go. And, and another thing too. I was told to ignore foot traffic. If a guy or a woman was to approach me on foot, I was not to engage them. I was not to talk, our main focus were people in cars. Okay. So that was what I was advised. Ignore foot traffic. You just want to go after the people in cars. So we were set up on this very public residential street. And I'm going to explain how it was, how our setup was. My supervisor, usually it was a sergeant, once in a while it was a lieutenant that would sit out there with us. They were in, I'm going to pull this real close so I can see what I'm doing real quick. I'm going to need some more resin in here. They were in like a parking lot or a long driveway. And they would sit up in this, in their unmarked truck or car or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it was a pickup truck. Sometimes it was an SUV. It was just something that didn't stand out. I hope this is going to look right. Something that wouldn't stand out. And so they would be like across the street from where I would be. Then we would have an officer that dressed like a bum, or, you know, somebody with a brown paper bag. It looked like they were drinking beer from a brown paper bag, or, I don't know, the homeless, or just somebody standing out there, you know, like they'd be standing on the same side of the street of me, from me, like standing in the doorway, or at a bus stop, or stuff like that. They were to be inconspicuous, as inconspicuous as could be. And then about a block over, half a block over, we would have a marked police car, regular police car with what you recognize as a police car. We would have 2 uniformed officers stationed in an alley, waiting for me to give the signal. And the signal that I would give if I had a case would be, at that time, I ended up coming up with a better idea, but at that time I wore a knit hat on my head. It was very cold. It was in the middle of, well, like end of January, early February. Very cold outside. So I would wear these knit hats. And I didn't have my gun on me. I didn't have a vest on. I didn't have a radio. Didn't have any of that. So I solely relied on my supervisor, which was considered the long eye. The officer that was on the street with me, he was considered my short eye. My short eye did have a radio on him. We had 2 uniformed police officers parked in an alley about a block over. And then we had in a different alley, we had what was known as our evac car. That car was there in an alley to, if one of us were to get injured, you know, in any way. The evac car would swoop in and pick us up and throw us in the back seat of the car and whisk us off to the hospital. And the evac also assisted with arrests. All right. I hope I'm explaining this well. So how it would be is I would be standing out there with no radio, no vest, no gun. I'd be standing out there and a car would pull up. And I would talk to either male or female, sometimes male and female. And they would ask, hey, are you a cop? No. You working? Yes. How about we give, how much do you charge for whatever? And I would say, well, how much, what are you willing to, what's a good price for you? Something along those lines. I don't remember exactly, but something along those lines. And they would give me a price, $10, $5, $50, $100, $500, depending on the location. That was the price. And I would say, sure. This was how it was supposed to go down. Sure. Meet me down at the end of the street because it's really hot out here with the police. And hot meaning that the police are active. I've seen them, driving by. And I don't want to get caught. And they were like, okay, sounds like a good idea. And these guys or women would, mostly guys though, but I did have some women. They would hightail it to the end of the street where the uniform officers would pull them over and arrest them. And how it would go down is as soon as I would engage or talk to somebody, my supervisor would be in the truck or her car. Usually it's his truck. Let me get another baby weight. All right. Usually he'd be in his car or truck. Usually it's his truck. He would sit there and he would automatically be on the radio, giving everybody the information that they needed. How many people were in the car? what kind of car, the direction the car was facing, the color of the car, everything that you could possibly think of that they would need to pull the right car over, you know. And I would, once the lights were activated, I would run and act like, oh, I'm being caught, you know, because we didn't want to blow our cover, you know. We didn't want, because you got people that were driving around, they would circle the area, trying to determine if I was in fact a real lady of the evening, or was I in fact a police officer. So we didn't want to blow the cover and have me jump in the undercover car right away. I would actually run. I got to know quite a few of the actual ladies out there, and they would point out the real bad guys out there that actually would do them harm. And I got a couple really bad characters off the street that way. So I would run, and then once the coast was clear, no more cars were coming down, and then I would get into the truck or the car with my supervisor, and we'd wait until everybody got back into position. The uniform car would get back into position, and then evac would get back in their position, and everybody would say, okay, we're back in position. Because what they would do is they would arrest the person, drive them to the station, and then they would take the car and they would put the car in the garage, and they would take the guy out of the car and they would sit him in the holding area on a bench. And our job was, we were to get 5 cars in an evening, and once we got the 5 cars, we'd all go back as a group, and then we'd start doing all the paperwork, searching the cars and all that good stuff. So, you know, because they didn't want us sitting out there all night while they're, you know, searching cars and doing paperwork. We all did it as a group at the end of the night. So, they get back into position, and then I would get out of the car, and I would go back out there and just stand there. Basically, I didn't have to do anything. I couldn't wave cars down. I couldn't, you know, I wasn't dressed provocatively or anything like that. It was cold. I was in a winter coat, and you know, I did get because of the location we were working at, the women that usually work that area weren't very well dressed. So I did go and get some clothes from a secondhand store and scuff them up a little bit. Could be a little bit more authentic. So anyway, that's how the whole operation is supposed to work. That is not what happened my first day out there. First day out there, I get out there. Like I said, I don't know the lingo. I don't know anything really. If my legs were wood, you would have heard them knock. I was so scared. I'm not scared. I was nervous. But my legs, you know, I was just adrenaline. I don't know if anybody's ever really experienced a true adrenaline rush and what it does to your what it does to you physically. It's what it does to your body is just unbelievable. Your body reacts to adrenaline in such a unique way. It's really wild. I just want to fit some green in here just so it doesn't look so plain. But anyway, so my knees were knocking. I was nervous. My adrenaline was just, I mean, it was off the charts, my adrenaline. And we had a guy on foot walk up and try to talk to me. First, he was across the street from me, and he's, pss, 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 hey girl, pss, pss, pss. And I'm doing what I was told. I'm ignoring the foot traffic, you know? That's what I was told. That's the number one thing. Don't engage in foot traffic. So that guy, he's, pss, 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 hey girl, pss, 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 hey girl. This should be pointing the other way. And so I'm acting like this guy ain't even there, right? He's standing across the street, and a couple minutes, not long. Psst, psst, psst. Hey girl, like, hey, what's wrong? You gonna talk to me? No, I'm not gonna talk to you because I was told I wasn't to engage foot traffic. So this goes on for a few minutes. Psst, psst, psst. Hey girl, psst, psst, psst. Hey girl. And of course I don't engage. Well, this guy, now he's a big guy, real big guy. Tall. He's like 6'5". I'm 5'3" on a good day. I was at the time, I was a size 2, 3 pushing it. So 5'3", I weighed about, I don't know, 110 pounds. And I wish I weighed that now, but I don't. But I digress. So he now, this big guy, he's, you know, got this big coat on, and he's crossing the street. He's gonna, he's gonna talk to me whether I want to talk to him or not. And before he could even get to me, my short eye, the officer that's dressed like a bum, he engages the guy. They go hands-on with each other. And at the same time, my sergeant has now left the undercover truck, and he running across the street. Now I got my sergeant, and I got this officer. They're rolling in the street with this guy. And a gun flies out of this guy's coat pocket somewhere. It flies out of somewhere he's got, you know. And so they end up, handcuffing him, arresting him. They end up securing the gun. And now I haven't made a contact with any cars. This is my very first person I'm going to engage with is this clown. So we all go back to the station because, we have to, this is a little bit more serious than offering to engage. This is, why was this guy approaching me? He had a weapon on him. So now we have to search. Do we have any reports on record of any females have been hurt, injured, killed? What's the motive of this guy? So we do a quick search in our little database. Nothing like we have today. I have to keep reminding people that it's not like it is today. There was no internet back then. You just went through the police database, and which was a good database. It's better now, but it was adequate for the times. I'll put a couple leaves in there too. It was adequate. So we're there doing this paperwork a couple hours. And my supervisor, when we're done with the paperwork, my supervisor, my boss, comes up to me and he says, okay, I'm going to give you some options here. You can go home. I don't know if I'm going to get this in there because these are hard. Should have thought about this yesterday. I don't think I'm going to get that in there. If I cut it? Oh yeah, let me cut it. Let me get another one. You can go home and think of, and regroup and come back tomorrow and we can try this again. Or we can get out there and try again. And I already knew that if I was to go home and think about this, I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to come back and do it. That was crazy. So, and I knew that. I know me. Just like everybody, you, I know me. I don't think this is going to work. I'm not going to try it. So I knew that if I was to go home and think about it, that I was going to be making a phone call the next day to my supervisor and telling him, I'm out. I'm going back to patrol. This is too much. Let me see if I can get another one in there because these look pretty. This is too much, you know. So, but I told my supervisor, well, let's get back out there. He's like, are you sure that's what you want to do? And I'm like, yes, I'm positive. That's exactly what I want to do. So he was like, okay, you know, so we go back out there. Now I'm scared. Before I was nervous. Now I'm scared. I don't know what I'm going to be dealing with out there. And if my knees were knocking prior to this, they really, I mean, that was very intense. Very, very intense. And hold on. I'm not going to sit here and try to act like I was, you know, all that in a bag of chips, because I was scared. You know, you have that be your very first experience out there, and you're already questioning the training that you got. It's like, I felt like, although I have to say this, I had an amazing crew, an absolute fantastic, phenomenal crew. I did experience working this operation at another precinct. Years later, I did that 2 times. I felt that they were very unsafe, and I was like, I'm not doing this with you guys. And I told them I'm going back on patrol because I was exposed to, I'm getting some alcohol. I was exposed to the guys I was working with, my supervisors, everybody on our team. They were so professional. It was all about safety. I had a really, 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 really good team. I can't express how great of a team I had. That when I attempted, because they modeled the city, which I found out from my husband, because my husband also ran the offered to engage operation at the precinct he worked at as the sergeant. You know how I had the sergeant sit in the car? My husband worked the same operation at the neighboring precinct. We're actually on the same radio, different channel. Our precinct, we're on the same radio, same channel, but the operation, we had our own private channel on the radio. So my husband, when they started up their operation at their precinct, they passed my report around, and they said, this is how a report should be written, and how I conducted myself out there, and how I wrote up the reports, and how I did the paperwork. That was the package that was sent around citywide, saying that this is how the operation, you know, if you're going to start this operation, we're going to model it after this. And my husband didn't know when they were, I got to make some more resin. My husband didn't know when they were doing this, when he was reading the report, he didn't know it was my report. It was my package that they were sending around, until he got to the end and he saw my name. And he said he looked up and he just said he was just so proud to realize that, you know, that I had done such a good job. That the department, the whole department, citywide, was modeling this after my, how I like things done, and how the wording on my reports and all that. They just said it was just, that's how it was supposed to be done. So let me make up some resin, and I will continue on with what I'm talking about. All right, I have some more resin here, and I was saying that when I was put back out there, I felt like I was thrown to the wolves for the most part. I didn't feel prepared at that time. You know, eventually I ended up getting a lot more comfortable with the whole thing, and actually it turned out to be one of my favorite things that I actually did on the department. Believe it or not. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? I'm going to spray this with some alcohol. because I see some bubbles. I am not going to turn on my heat mat because I have a feeling I'm going to have a ton of bubbles popping up. I will babysit this, and let me put a little bit more in. So what I want to do is I want to put the little bit of glitter on this. The same color glitter that I have in here and at the top. Let's just see how it looks. We don't know. But yeah, I see bubbles popping up through from those flowers, even though I did drench them. So this is where I'm at so far. And come back, I have a pretty good idea. I have some ideas I want to do. I want to use some wax seal and silver cording and stuff like that. So that's how I'm planning on finishing it off. So if you want to see how it looks demolded, I'm going to come back to do the the blue glitter on the bottom. I don't know, it might be too much glitter, but if that's such a thing. And we'll go from there. So I will clean all this mess up, and I will see you in a second. All right, this is cured enough where I can add a little bit of glitter. I don't want too much, but I want enough. I have just an ounce of resin in here. I hope it's enough. If not, I'll mix up more. I'm either mixing up too much or not enough. I just want a coating on here like this. I might have to come in with a little bit more resin. I think I'm going to have to. But I'll mix that up off camera. In the meantime, I'll let that settle for a minute. Close this up. Hit that with a little bit of alcohol. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to move this stuff. I have these, and I have this. Let me get the candle lit. It's got one big flame on this. Okay, get the candle lit. And get my spoon on there. Okay, I have these, they're called Dusty Blue wax seals, and I'm going to put 3, 4, 5, 6 of them in there. Gotta take these gloves off. And I have, for my wax seal, I have a heart, and I'm going to color that heart with silver Posca pen, but we're gonna get it melted first, and I will speed up the melting process. Okay, that should be good. Now I'm going to pour it in here like so. And because I'm not attaching it to anything, it doesn't matter which way I put the wax seal in. And blow out the candle. And we're going to move that and move this. Just don't want it to land in my lap. This is just a silicone little mat that came with these here. And I have a bunch of different ones here. I'll have it linked if you're interested. It'll be linked at the bottom. So I'm going to just peel this back like that. And then this should be ready. Yep. pull this wax seal out. Like, well, let's get that off. And then we're gonna pull this off like that. And then I'll take my Posca pen, and using a Posca pen, you're gonna have to let it completely dry before you touch it. Hope it works on this. It worked on my practice one. Of course, it was a different wax. It's just pooling on there. I'll wipe it off. Yeah, it's not. It's just pooling on there. Okay, let me see. I have another one. Let's see if this one works. It's almost out of ink. Yeah, this one works. This isn't so... This is just a metallic color pen, a metallic pen that I got with wax seals. If I can find these, I'll link them. They're good. I just thought that the Posca would be a little brighter of a silver, but it's just this wax is just too slick for that. So there is my little. I mean, it's not perfect. I don't go for perfection. We're gonna let that set over here, and I have some silver coating for when we demold this, and then as soon as it's cured, we'll come back for the demold. I will be back shortly. All right, this is cured. I did not turn on my heat mat. I just let it do its thing. Before we unmold this, I want to unmold these. This is the dump mold I had with the ornaments, and this is I have copper flakes. All right, so we can see. This one is clear with the copper flakes. This one obviously is extra from this. And I can personalize these. I can put names. I can do all kinds of stuff with these. These were practice blooms. I have no idea how they turned out, and if they even turned out. We'll find out together. Oh, wow. That is so pretty. I just used the one color, the patina. That is so pretty. Very pretty. And this one I used 2 alcohol inks. I believe it was Glacier and another dark blue. I know one was Glacier. Oh wow, considering how dark blue those were. That is absolutely beautiful. Okay, so I'm getting the blooms down. It's a good practice because you need very little resin to practice, you know, to at least get the feel for the temperature of the resin. And I think I'm there, so I will try a bigger bloom. So there's that. So on to this. So I am going to do this one first. I can already tell I have some cleanup to do, which is not a problem. We can do that. I just want to get this out. That looks pretty. I'm going to zoom in once I get it pulled out so you guys can see just how pretty that is. You can see some of the flower. It's not a big deal to me. All right, on to this. And so tell me what you think of the story of my first undercover day. I have a lot of stories, undercover stories, a lot. And let me know what you think. The best way you can help my channel is by liking commenting, and subscribing. If you want to help my channel, like, comment, and subscribe. Like and comment is very important if you want to help my channel grow. That is pretty. That is really pretty. I just need just a little bit of cleanup on the edge. Not a big deal. Oh yeah, I'll zoom in. Okay. Look at how pretty that is. Yeah, it fits in there. Look how pretty. And that all ties together. Look at how pretty that is. And on the inside, you can see the leaves. Yeah, I don't really see any bubbles. Let's see. I thought for sure I would get bubbles in here in the flowers. Next time I would leave the top clear and just do the bottom, but I just wanted to see what it looked like. That is so pretty. I will be doing this again in another color. And I am not done with this. Let's see how it fits. So I'm going to zoom back out. And you don't want to store with your lids on when it's first cured, because it's still curing. It's going to cure for a couple weeks. So you want to store it outside of there. So let me zoom out. I have some silver, I'll show you. It's just called bow wire. This is a lot, several feet of this. I'm gonna find the center. Okay, here's the center, and we're just gonna wrap it around like so. Don't want to tangle it up. So I'm gonna time lapse this. Now let me put these down so it doesn't roll. I don't have one of those little cup things to keep the cups from rolling. So now I'm going to, I got my little wax seal. And these are good wax seals. They're not gonna, it's not gonna crumble. I don't have to. I mean, you don't want to, snap. It will not really snap. It'll bend, and eventually it will break if you keep doing it. But I'm still going to stick it like that. Let me cut some of this off. You'd be surprised by how many pairs of scissors I have. So I got that cut off. I have some liquid fusion, and I also have my glue gun. The glue gun is going to be a temporary hold. Might hold permanently. I don't know how well a hot glue will stick to resin. I don't know. I was thinking glass for some reason. I know it won't stick permanently to glass. It's a temporary fix. So I'm going to stick a nice big blob of liquid fusion. And then we're going to go just a little dab of hot glue just for a temporary but hold, so that the liquid fusion will actually hold long term, and the hot glue will hold until the liquid fusion actually dries. And there is my little jar. Gosh, that is so pretty. That is so pretty. What do you think? Do you like it? I do. I really like it. I like this mold. I like this mold a lot. And I'll have everything linked in the description box. Everything that I use. If I can find it, I will link it. If there's no link, it means I couldn't find the same or similar. Because I'll even look for something that's even similar to this. Whatever it is that I'm linking. me get the black cardstock so we can really see that. There we go. Isn't that just so pretty? That is just so pretty. So there it is. There is my little flowers in my jar. So I want to thank you for hanging out with me today. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave in the comment section down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. That helps big time. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And to my subscribers, I truly appreciate you, and you have a great day, and God bless. Bye.